wasn't there, ref. That she got the ball. Good morning, Tottenham fans, and Tottenham are back on European duty, and this time we're heading into the freezing Arctic Circle to take on Bodø Glimt on match day 2 of the Champions League phase. And it's a classic banana skin fixture, freezing cold conditions, an artificial pitch, and a team that thrives in their own backyard. But with 3 points already secured after that narrow win over Villarreal, this is a massive chance for Spurs to take early control of the league phase. And let's be honest, with PSG, Dortmund and Frankfurt all still to come, Spurs have to stack up points now if we're serious about qualifying for the knockout stages. At the weekend, it took a stoppage time heroics from Palhinha to avoid defeat to Wolves, so the players should be desperate here to put that right with a more professional performance tonight. Now look, Bodø Glimt aren't any European heavyweights by any stretch of the imagination, but they are no mugs either. Ask Roma, ask Celtic, ask Olympiacos, ask Lazio, a few of the scalps that have took down in the Arctic Circle over the years. So this is a team that plays without fear, with confidence, and will come at us on their own turf, which means Spurs will have to match that intensity and energy from minute one. Now, of course, we did beat them comfortably in the Europa League semi-finals just 4 months ago, 5-1 on aggregate, but that was under Ange Postecoglou. We are now a different team under Thomas Frank. Their sporting director has also come out and said they're more physically and tactically prepared this time around, and crucially, they're now in the middle of their season and not out of rhythm like last time. So let's dive into our predicted lineup for Bodø Glimt versus Tottenham Hotspur and what every player must do in this tricky away fixture. Now, starting with goalkeeper, and it does feel like there's a conversation bubbling under the surface for a lot of Spurs fans when it comes to Vicario. If we want to push on to the next level, do we need to upgrade Vicario like Arsenal did with Ramsdale? But despite some shaky moments, he will retain his place. And rightly so, he's still our clear number one under Thomas Frank, and his shot stopping is still elite. Tonight though, there is absolutely zero margin for error. Bodø are sharp on the counter and clinical at home. Vicario's distribution, command of his box, and ability to be able to handle set pieces on this plastic pitch will be absolutely crucial. This will be a huge test of temperament and character on Vicario. Can he bounce back? Which is usually what separates the weak from the chaff. How you bounce back from making an error the week before. Moving on into left back, and I do think Destiny Udogie will retain his place. Don't get me wrong, I think it's a huge risk tonight. With it being an artificial pitch, it's very easy to pick up injuries. And with him only returning to full fitness, I do think it's a mad gamble. However, it is of my opinion going forward, we are very lackluster right now, and we do have to start developing this combination down the left-hand side, or we're going to become very predictable like we were under Ange Postecoglou last season. So for me, the only way to get this left-hand side really working is consistency in selection. And Destiny Udogie got forward a number of times against Wolves at the weekend. However, his crossing left a lot to be desired, often hitting the fullback. Someone really needs to get him on the training pitch and show him how to cross a ball. However, there is signs there that it could be a real avenue if we can keep this guy fit. And for me, we need to play him here again. At right back, Pedro Porro returns after being rested at the weekend. And in my opinion, we looked miles better down that right hand side when he came on against Wolves before Thomas Frank moved Kudos over onto left wing. With Jed Spence starting on Saturday, for me, you saw the difference, and something that I tried to highlight in the pre-match build-up. Too many safe passes from Jed Spence, cutting inside, and when he did try to play forward passes, they were often inaccurate. And we lost a lot of our attacking impetus down this side on the night. Porro brings much more variety in terms of what he can offer from right back, and much more confidence in the final third compared to someone like Jed Spence. Defensively though, he's got a tough assignment. Jens Peter Haug, the ex-AC Milan winger, he's very, very quick, he's technical, he's very effective in the final third, and is aggressive when he gets the ball. He looks to drive at the fullback. It's of my opinion that Porro needs to engage early and don't back off. Don't show him that you're scared. Win that 1v1 battle in the opening 15 minutes and take the sting out of Bodø's momentum. But keep an eye on this duel. If Haug does get the better of Pedro Porro, he could cause us some problems. Moving into the centre-back partnership, and it will be Christian Romero and Mickey van der Ven. Now, you could make the argument that we don't need both of these here in tonight's game, and maybe Danzo could come in, and that could be an option if you want to see more rotation. However, with Romero, given the tricky environment we have to navigate tonight, this is a game where you do need your leaders. And Romero, for me, has to start. He has to set the tone. He needs to dominate physically, win his aerial duels, and cut off the early confidence that Bodø will have playing at home in front of their fans. Bodø will try to build, and we need that same aggression and bite we saw in the Villarreal game from Christian Romero. When it comes to Mickey van de Ven, his pace will be a huge weapon tonight. Bodø are going to try and hit us on the counter with direct balls into space, and Mickey's job is to sweep up everything, especially with Destiny Udogie and Pedro Porro tasked with getting forward. Moving into midfield, and we will start with the double pivot, and I do believe it will be João Palhinha and Rodrigo Bentancur. With João Palhinha, he is the man who saved us on Saturday, and he continues to show why he was such a clever and shrewd signing, and why Tottenham, quite frank, need to make similar signings of a similar profile to João Palhinha moving forward. And with João Palhinha, his job is simple. They do have a guy in there called Patrick Berg. Every time he looks to touch the ball, he is their sort of playmaker, their tempo setter in midfield. Just get close to him and look to disrupt them at every opportunity. This guy, I think, turned over the most balls at the weekend, and we just need him to do the exact same job here tonight. Especially in the opening 20 minutes is going to be absolutely crucial, because Bodø will have a lot of confidence at home in front of the home crowd, and they will look to push early and try and use that to their advantage. So anytime we can get Palhinha in there to be able to disrupt their rhythm, turn over ball, drag players down, it's going to be absolutely crucial in surviving the first 15-20 minutes. When it comes to Rodrigo Bentancur, there's been a lot of noise lately from Spurs fans suggesting that Bentancur just doesn't work in this midfield, especially when paired with João Palhinha, and the criticism being it's too defensive, not mobile enough or creative enough. But let's be real, when Bentancur goes off, and Frank has subbed him off a couple of times, bar maybe the Bournemouth game, every other time he's done it, we've lost control in midfield, and that's simply because people don't recognise what Bentancur is in there to do, and that's his passing, his composure, and being able to take the ball under pressure. And I think he's elite in all them three categories. And also, it's not his job to score goals or play final balls. That's what the front three are for. So if you have a problem with this midfield being too defensive and not creative enough, start asking more questions of the guys sitting in the cam position, out left, out right, or up front. Stop putting it on guys further back on the pitch. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comment section below. But in a game like this, away in the cold, you do need calm heads. Players who are good in possession can slow it down or fasten it up depending on what pace the game needs. So leaving Bentancur out, in my opinion, would be a huge mistake by Thomas Frank. And moving into the calm, and hopefully after 3 games of being out of the side, Palhinha will make his return. Of course, he came off the bench at the weekend and set up the equaliser with that lovely deft touch. And I don't think people realise how good that actually was. It was perfectly cushioned down, allowing João Palhinha to be able to strike it first time. But also, Palhinha also had the nous to, once he laid it off, to move out the way and open up the goal for João Palhinha. But what we've seen him do at the weekend is exactly what he does. He changes games. At what point does Thomas Frank realise Sarr must start? Every time he plays, we look better. Every time he doesn't, we drop points. It's not a coincidence in my opinion. You go back to the last 2 league games that we've dropped points in, Wolves and Brighton, he was nowhere to be seen in that midfield. Thomas Frank had him on the bench for one reason or another. So hopefully Thomas Frank realised you have to play Palhinha. His pressing, the energy are absolutely crucial to this Tottenham team, especially in a game where we'll need him to be able to disrupt Bodo's rhythm much higher up the pitch. And also, when we're not the most creative side from open play, Palhinha's pressing becomes even more important, because it means you can turn the ball higher up the pitch, which then means we're only looking for 1 or 2 passes to get in on their goal, rather than 10 or 11 passes, which we're not even capable of right now. And then moving up front, and we will head on to right wing, it will be Mo Kudus, Spurs' most dangerous weapon right now, and looks like the only one in this forward line who can make something out of nothing. Against Bodø Glimt, his ability to be able to beat players 1v1 is absolutely key. He needs to link up with Porro down this side. Also, get into the box like he did for that disallowed goal, because I think there's a lot more to come from him if he keeps making them runs inside. A lot of times he sort of just hugs out wide, which is a good thing, but I would like to see him mix it up and get into them positions almost like Brennan Johnson did when he was on the right hand side. And I think Mo Kudus will develop into a very influential player for Tottenham if he can get himself in more goal scoring opportunities. Just simply get him on the ball more than anyone else and let him go and create chaos. And moving on out to left wing, and although he had an absolute stinker on the weekend, I do think Xavi Simons should be given another opportunity. Now, of course, it hasn't quite clicked for Simons in a Spurs shirt yet. He struggled against Wolves with 1 key pass, 25% dribble success, and 3 out of 11 crosses completed. Not what you would expect for a £65 million signing and the hype that he's come with. Now, of course, people will make the argument that they want to see him in that central position and that he's much better operating in that central position. However, it's of my opinion that with all the other options we have down the left-hand side, they offer us a lot left down the left-hand side than what someone like Papamatar or Bergvall will through the middle. So on this one, I do understand Thomas Frank's thinking in trying to accommodate him and put him in the team somewhere. But look, Spurs fans are making out like this guy can't play off the left. He played a lot of these games for Leipzig off that left-hand side. Stop making excuses for the guy and let's start demanding more from him. However, what I will say with Xavi Simons, he does keep getting into promising positions, and he is only one pass or one shot away from it clicking and really taking off at Tottenham Hotspur. And then that moves us into the guy up front. And with both Solanke and Kolo Muani not involved in training ahead of this game, which means they will miss out, meaning Richarlison will probably lead the line once again. But I think it is time we start asking if it's really working. Richarlison is not doing anywhere near enough in or out of possession to be able to justify his place in the team. He's not scoring, he's not linking up play well, and his pressing intensity, in my opinion, has also dropped off. Thomas Frank has to find a solution. Give someone else an opportunity. Maybe someone like a Dane Scarlett. At the end of the day, I get his hands are a little bit tied with Kolo Muani still suffering from his dead leg. Dominic Solanke taking longer than maybe what he expected coming back from injury. Although I think he will persist with Richarlison here, for me I think it would make a huge statement to someone like Richarlison and Tal if he started someone like Dane Scarlett and gave him his opportunity. Because at the end of the day, when he came off the bench, Postecoglou gave him a handful of appearances last season. Off the bench against Ipswich, assisted. Off the bench against Elfsborg, scored a goal and assisted one as well on the night. So why not give the young kid his opportunity? If it's not working out with Richarlison, you've got no other choice. So guys, that's our predicted 11 for tonight's trip to Norway. A tough test in a tricky environment, but one that Spurs should be confident about navigating. But that's just my thoughts on it. Give me your thoughts on the lineup in the comment section below. Also, let me know your starting 11 in the comments, and also drop your score predictions in as well. If you are enjoying these lineup videos, don't forget to like the video, which is very important, by the way. A lot of you are forgetting to like these videos, and basically what a like does on the video, it just helps show that people are enjoying it, and it means then YouTube will push it further and further into the algorithm, which then benefits us, of course, moving forward. Also, subscribe if you are new and hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything. We've got plenty more coming up as kickoff approaches. See you back here on this channel at 5 p.m. tonight. Let's get the 3 points. Let's show Europe what Spurs are made of under Thomas Frank. Come on, you Spurs. In the Frank engine, we trust.